Good morning, good afternoon to our very merry Marvelites. And yes, indeed, it is our second consecutive day of a live Marvel movie talk. Hope you caught yesterday's episode with our pal Zia Landerson talking about Thor Love and Thunder, except, of course, for you, Ghost 8386. I know that you wouldn't have watched that one, but you just take my word for it. I was spectacular on that episode. And we're back today because coming up this weekend is San Diego Comic-Con, and somebody in the chat I know is already down there. Our pal Daniel Drew headed out west, and I hope that we get lots of reports from Daniel as to what's going on. And I hope he camps out in Hall H. Our friend Caitlin Cornell, I know, is headed to Hall H, and I'm like, if your focus is on Hall H, just go for whatever the first thing is that day. And even if you don't get into the first thing, eventually you just have to plan your day in that hall. Like, just go. And when I did it, I only went once. I went in 2011. I went to some like Simpsons panel. I think actually I ended up in like an American Dad panel. And then during the Family Guy panel, I got to move up, and then the Simpsons. So I just kept moving up. And then I texted my wife to let her know, like, all right, we're definitely up near the front for the Vampire Diaries panel that you wanted to see. I was there for the Fringe panel. God. Hashtag Pacey Witter forever. As always, I am Christian Bladt. Up there is, of course, on top, Michael Shirley. And the commandant of this vessel, this outing, is our friend Count Eric Connor. Hello, sir. Sirs, how are you both today?
I'm doing well, Michael. I'm admiring the bob that you got going on there.
Oh, this old Christianer.
Is that your Christian special?
Chris Jenner, thank you very much.
No, Christian. that was Christian's 80s haircut.
I just feel a little emo today.
Yeah. Yeah. So, Eric, why don't you talk a little bit about what we're going to do today? You know, we'll have a little bit of an abbreviated show, and then we'll let you know when you'll see us again when we can react to the news that does actually come out of Hall H. But take it away, Eric.
All right. Hello there, my warriors. I come to you with my photo attachments not working great once again, but all right, phase 4 almost done. Phase 5, big announcement apparently on Saturday. And I can't tell. I don't know if you guys got some info on this. Can't tell if you can watch it live or not. The actual Hall H. I know there's discussion what Marvel might consider doing that.
That's nothing I would ever do.
I know you would never do it, but other humans in this world who don't have your fine bob might.
Yeah. I mean, what I want is...
This isn't Daniel a bob, Drew. By the way. I'm sorry.
It's a bob of
gotta cut you off. This is a pixie bitch. So...
I'm so sorry. Yeah, I apologize.
Yeah, is it okay if I call that haircut the Jubilation Lee?
For sure.
Because I think I love it, and you know I love her. Yeah, what I want is Daniel Drew to just film it on his cell phone and then send it to us.
Daniel, you know your mission, and whether you choose to accept it is yours. But
no, to answer your question, I haven't seen if they've done that. I actually have no idea. I can see why they wouldn't. You know, if they do it, they might just release segments of it after the fact. Because they probably don't want us to have the trailers, you know, where we can do freeze frames and
and that kind of kills it for all the money they're making. They want people to go there to get that exclusive feeling.
Yeah.
Well, and I think I've talked about here before, like Iron Man. When I got the one time I went to Hall H, and I've gone to Comic-Con over a dozen times, maybe more than that. You know,
nerd.
Yep, nerd and proud of it, pixie boy. But when I got the one time I actually made it into Hall H was when they showed the first Iron Man trailer. And it was honestly like the most exciting thing I can imagine in terms of just people erupted like they should, because no one expected the trailer. Like it was a good year plus before, and they were teamed with the Hulk, and all the Hulk had was a very, sophisticated French director who had one single image, and he goes, "Nah, this is our new Hulk," and then you see it, and it looks just like the last freaking Hulk. So
this
the
is
Eric
Hulk.
Bana?
This is Hulk. He spends the movie chain smoking, eating baguettes, and hitting his woman.
and he's got the issues with the Jews.
Which
Meanwhile,
I'll point out again. And Eric and I have a future show idea for this. I still have not seen the Ang Lee Hulk, and also haven't seen Elektra. I realize
you've
that
never
there
seen
are,
Hulk dogs.
I made myself watch Elektra. It's really
and also
hard.
Agreeing with Eric, I also haven't seen the second Ghost Rider movie.
I tried that, but I couldn't finish it.
That might be there might be a very special Ghost Rider 2 episode of Blackcast at some point.
But anyway, back to your point. Daniel Drew,
I get
what you were saying earlier.
Yeah.
Daniel Drew saying, I think that most of the Hall H panels are on the live stream, but no footage is shown.
That's right.
So he can't remember if Marvel Live had the panel online. So
right. Well, so before we even get into Phase 5, I thought we'd talk Phase 4. So highs, lows, everything in between. Where do you guys stand on where Phase 4 is? As it's, I guess, in its final lap, right? I mean, in essence, Black Wakanda Forever, and then the Marvels next year,
Quantumania,
and Quantumania, right? Those are the final 3 in this current phase, I believe. Although Blade, I've sometimes seen as part of a Phase 4, but it doesn't. It feels like it's too far out.
I was under the impression that Fantastic Four was kind of like where this leaves and the next one starts.
Okay. Yeah, which again, still no director, no date, no.
Yeah,
film,
I just don't think it's soon enough. I think that there are Phase 5 movies that could even potentially have begun shooting. Some of them, and they just
haven't been announced.
Yeah,
that's possible.
Okay.
Yeah. So
I like that. I hope
we'll find that out.
But what were your? So let's just start with Phase 4 before we get into our own Phase 5 predictions. Where is the Marvel Universe right now, in your opinions, gentlemen? I'm looking at you, Michael Shirley.
I've been reading some stories about how it's kind of not really a great franchise right now. That the movies are being diluted by the TV. We're getting too much. That it's like a burnout is coming. I don't know that that's true because, some people have been reading, like me, like Marvel stuff their whole lives. So I don't know that I'll ever truly be burnt out. But you guys know, just from my reactions, there are a lot of things I'm a lot more excited about than others.
What are you excited? Where does your excitement lie for the future of Marvel then?
I mean, obviously the X-Men are really important to me, but I'm kind of scared about what's going to happen with that.
They wronged you before and you're not willing to.
Oh, they have. Oh my God. I could never get past the costumes. Like you guys say a lot that you like X2, thinks that it's like one of the best. I mean, I probably agree that it's one of the best X-Men movies, but I don't think that that's really a high bar.
Right. So, the old joke, it's like being valedictorian at summer school. Like somebody has to be the best. Something has to be the best X-Men movie. I know what you mean in terms of the costumes. I think just what they felt, the studio felt in 2000 was that, superhero costumes aren't going to work.
Oh, I still see in the comments in our chats, whenever I bring up the X-Men costumes pissing me off, people being like, "Oh, you can't translate that." That's such crap.
We've seen costumes that have translated well.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
I think that the Wolverine mask would have been one of the most difficult things to make look good. And so they could have, had him without the mask. He still
they wanted to show off that face.
Well, I think,
also true.
Look at Captain America's costume. Like in the first movie, it felt, at least to my eyes, my old man eyes, somewhat comic book accurate. But then as they went on and the tone of the movies changed, they changed his costume and it worked. Like I love his costume, Winter Soldier, and he didn't have the mask on for a fair amount of it, and it actually looked better without.
Yeah, I think that's kind of a way you go with Wolverine too. Like, you don't put him in the mask all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of this being the movie business. You're paying movie stars or people who are aspiring movie stars in some cases, people that are movie stars in training, and the last thing you want to do is cover them up,
Was there a
Uh,
specific Marvel actor you might have been alluding to?
well, I think
It's not a real actor?
Chris Evans is someone that they don't want to cover up, and Chris Pratt to a lesser extent, but they
Your
don't.
face is your fortune, and no one knows that better than Christian.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, and to Michael's point, I think that I find Phase 4 is a bit refreshing just because of what we built up to through the first 3 phases. And Daniel had a question that I think ties into what I was going to say. Here's a question. Do y'all think that the pandemic messed the schedule up so much that it affected how Phase 4 has been received? I think that the pandemic helped in this sense. It gave us a break. There was a lot of Marvel, and we've had a lot since.
Yeah.
So if they had kept it up at that pace and, we had gotten our next movie, a year after Endgame. And by the way, what I've also said about the pandemic, just imagine if the pandemic started between Infinity War and Endgame, if that was what we were waiting on,
if that movie was delayed a year or two,
yeah,
there would have been anarchy.
Yeah, right. Exactly. I mean, they wouldn't have even had Disney Plus to launch it on,
Right.
So it would have it would have been on Freeform with commercials.
All that would have been left of Disney is a singed Mickey mask, and that was it.
Just one ear with a bite taken out
with
of
a bite out of it.
Yeah.
Pluto went feral.
And look, I appreciate the different styles that they're going for. I think Shang-Chi worked really well. That's a different kind of story. And Eric and I have talked a lot about Thor, Love and Thunder. It was just fun. Don't worry about its implications on phase 5, 6, and 7. And you don't have to think too much like, does somebody say the word mutant in it? No, who cares? It's just a classic Thor adventure, as he says in the movie. And I find that refreshing after sort of the weight of some of the other things. I didn't think about this when we were doing our episodes about it, but it's kind of like Ant-Man, it's like, just have fun, and it's kind of silly, and there's some good characters that you like already, so just hang out with them. And look, I think that Eternals had very mixed reactions, many of them negative. I think they went for something really ambitious there. And for the most part, I liked it. I know Michael has a different opinion.
Is a funny word to choose.
Yeah. But I don't know that any of these are my favorite. I think as entertaining as Black Widow was, the problem will always be that it came out like 5 years after it should have.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's not worth the build up. Like,
no,
all that
should have come out after. It should have come out after Civil War. The moment it's set in the continuity is exactly when they should have made it. And Scarlett Johansson could have opened a movie at that point,
Easy.
The only time this has ever worked for Marvel was with New Mutants.
Was New Mutants? No, I agree 100%. Yeah.
Number 1 movie in America.
Right. Yeah. I think number 10 was Empire Strikes Back. If you remember, they kept re-releasing movies.
Yeah, it was in the same. It was in the theater at the same time.
Yeah. No, Empire Strikes Back cracked the top 10.
Yeah, Tenet was there too.
Tenet was there. That the Palm Springs movie that Andy Samberg did, which was one of the best movies of the pandemic, by the way. Kemi Egan agrees with Daniel, though, because she thinks the original lineup made sense with the storylines, but now things are a bit jumbled. I think they made adjustments. I think we don't really know what we could have gotten otherwise, but I'm interested to see what's next. But what do you think, Eric? I mean, we've talked individually about these movies, but when you look at it as like a phase, as a slate of films, what do you think about what we've gotten?
Yeah, this phase to me, it's more like a buffet than it is a meal. Like what we have is a grab bag of things. And so I'm even looking at phase 4, and it veers all over the place, which was not necessarily the case with phase 1, 2, or 3. I think those are really nicely centered. And again, what is due to COVID is hard to say. I mean, Black Widow would have been terrific if it came out around Civil War. Like, it would have been just the right movie at the right time, and instead, it. Sorry to use a food metaphor. It did feel like leftovers, even though I think it's a good film on its own merit.
Yeah,
it's really hard to judge it on its own merit, though, when the timing is what it was. Like when it suddenly came out and it's on, goes right to Disney Plus, which pissed off her and the lawsuit and everything else. So there's a little bit of a mess with that, which is a shame because underneath it all is a pretty solid film with a great cast. And it's funny. I'm thinking.
No, the gift of that film, by the way, is Florence Pugh.
Yeah.
She
Florence
stole
Pugh
that movie, and she really helped. She really helped out Hawkeye. I think that made that series much more entertaining having her in it.
She added a whole shot of adrenaline, and they know they've got something great with her. So
she was the sriracha and the mac and cheese that the MCU needed.
Or the breadcrumbs on top to really make it a casserole.
Great point. Yeah, you know what? Hey, Cammy Higgins using a great word. Smorgasbord.
All right, I'll take smorgasbord. And I think to that end, in some ways, it did feel like they threw a lot at Phase 4, and now it's like, okay, well, from all of this, what really can we build a bridge to Phase 5 with? What are we going to sort of further? And that's where I think it is kind of like, this is the fun of this weekend of Comic-Con is like, I'm curious myself, like, didn't they say the Eternals will return, but none of us think there'll be an Eternals 2?
No,
I still think there will be.
Really? I mean,
there's some reliable sources.
I think they've already made the Happy Meal toys. So
they have to
always just an arm's reach away.
Which, by the way, have you seen the Thor? Have you seen the Thor Happy Meal toys?
I have not.
One of them is the 2 goats. So yeah,
that might
it doesn't make any noise, but yeah. So I guess I'll see you for McGriddles tomorrow morning, Eric.
Oh hell yeah! I like to get the healthy one that only kills you in a year instead of a minute.
It's perfect.
So I mean, as far as like the pieces, like I think they're great pieces in Phase 4, and the truth is, in the end of it all, the worst Marvel movie I'll still take over most franchises. I'd still rather watch a lesser Marvel movie than a Fast and the Furious or a Jurassic Park at this point, which is just, such a mess. And so even at its, I don't know, let's call it jumbled, there's still so much great material in there. And obviously the sources are terrific. So I'm always going to be on board. That's why you have the show, Christian. It's like, we obviously, we're the ones that remain and that we love this stuff. Obviously, we keep coming back to it. Even Michael with the bob cut, who
it's the not a bob, it's a pixie cut.
I know what it is. I know what I said. but I think they've got to now figure out what pieces they can build, another adventure around. And that's the thing that's a little tricky to see, I think, in Phase 4 is what's the center? I mean, maybe it was Spider-Man, but then there's all these rumors he's leaving. So that's where I'm really curious is like they had a strong base for 3 phases, which was Robert Downey and Chris Evans. They're gone. Who's taking over the center is my question for you guys.
It's a great point to reference No Way Home, though, because that, even though that's a Sony co-production, that's part of this phase. And you had many people that said that that's, the best of all of them. I think it's great. And I think it could be my favorite Spider-Man movie if I think about it hard enough. And I mean, having that as the central focus in here. But to your point earlier about when the movies don't work as well, they're still really well cast.
Always.
And they don't skimp on the effects. Okay. So
wait, Michael, who's yours?
Let's hear. So who don't you like in Eternals?
Okay. So this week I watched Martha Marcy May Marlene introducing for the first time Elizabeth Olsen, and I got it. I was like, it was a great movie. It's like sad girl actress core. Like that's what that was. And then to know that that's like what they watch, to want to cast her as Wanda. I love Wanda. I mean, I love her. I just don't get Wanda from Mary Kate, Ashley, whatever. Like it's just not her to me.
Yeah.
At all. Like maybe now she's getting a little gutsier, but the Scarlet Witch was, introduced as this like badass supervillain, and she was kind of introduced to us as like a kitty, like a Jubilee, like
Yeah.
and the way I mean, I know she was in the Avengers, but I mean, it's all just kind of backwards for me, and it's WandaVision's my favorite Disney Plus show. Like, it doesn't make me hate, seeing her in it. I rather have her play her than not get Wanda at all. But
how much more would you like that show if Catherine Hahn wasn't in it?
I don't know.
Then you would start hating on Paul Bettany.
I mean, I don't even really think of it that way because, like I said, that's my favorite Disney Plus show so far because that truly felt like a comic book. And I think that's kind of where I'm having a problem with this franchise is that it's like everything ties together. Like, you got to see every movie to understand everything. Comic books are not like that. You see things cross over. There's always the big event. Like, we've got the X-Men, Avengers, Eternals thing coming out today. But it doesn't all have to be part of like someone's mistakes in one, hero team don't have to like trickle down to everyone else. Like, a lot of comic books stop and restart.
Like more compartmentalized, like in essence, like in their own corner of the world.
Great. Sure, it's great to carry running themes, but to make it like this giant opera is just too much for me, and that makes me worried. What about when Kevin Feige, whatever his name, like, what about when he's like, I don't want to do this anymore, or I'm done? Like, what is it going to just turn into DC? Like, when you've gone out and you get so many properties and you've done so much with them, are they just going to do it all over again like they do Spider-Man over and over and over again? I just wish there was more like things like Miss Marvel. Like, it's neat to see a character that's been created recently, being really focused on because she's a fan favorite. I hate seeing them redo stuff over and over, and I don't like this. Like, I don't like where this is going because you're going to hit a glass ceiling. I have problems with villains being too powerful. I have problems with heroes being too powerful. They're all going to age out at some point within like 10, 15 years. There's a certain point where you can't use any of these people. It's...
Yeah.
I just see a lot of problems in the future.
I think that if media existed the way that it does now, right around 1970, people would have been seeing like, I can't see Marvel continuing without Stan. And there'll be somebody, I don't know how much of a team Feige has, but Daniel even says, I feel as though at some point he's going to train someone to be his replacement. I think there's somebody already there who probably could do it.
People.
But
what makes you think they're going to want to do this same universe for 50 years? At some point, just like the comic books, they're going to start from one and it's going to be like legacy numbers.
Yeah. Or the new 52 over in DC.
I mean, going for 40 years.
And I think it's a...
there are inevitable reinventions in terms of franchises of nerd culture. Star Trek's been around 55 years. Doctor Who's been around 60 years.
There's only 9 movies, though.
Right.
How
many Marvel movies are there now? Like 80?
But 800 episodes of television. So, there's constant ways to reinvent things. And you're going to get these characters that we already know played by new actors at some point. I don't think it's soon. I think it's like, no, now Sam is Captain America. It's not somebody else playing Steve Rogers. But that doesn't mean that one day someone else won't play Steve Rogers.
Right.
Right.
But at some point, someone else will have that moniker.
Won't the franchise have to completely start over from scratch for that to happen?
That's what I think. And Michael, I think you bring up this great point of like how big and wide can this this creation get before it just crumbles under its own weight? And has that happened already? Of course, is your question too. I think there was such a joy. I was thinking about Avengers Infinity War, when we have Rubber Band Man playing and we're kind of grooving out with Guardians, and then all of a sudden Thor crashes into their ship. And how an amazing moment that was, with this idea of the thing. And I'm actually going to, oh no, sorry. Didn't mean, Daniel, I'm always happy to share your comment, but I saw one up here. Something Cameron Egan said about, I don't think there's going to be a central character like Cap or Iron Man. I think it's going to be more focused on teams. That, and I don't know if that's by design or necessity. I mean, Tom Holland, if they can put him on contract, maybe he'd be an emotional center. I think it could have been Chadwick Boseman, of course, but we unfortunately lost him, you know. And so I think there is something to be said right now about the weight of it all, and trying to keep all these separate strands connected is only going to get increasingly difficult, because now we're going cosmic. We have gods, we have space, we have multiverse.
Scared of all this space stuff.
Yeah, and so I think, to your point, I mean, maybe phase 5 is the final phase. Or, you know, where in essence, after that, it then becomes just what you described. I feel like that might be the healthiest, you know, solution, is like, in essence, like, let them go over in their own ways, and occasionally having team ups, you know, having a storyline where X-Men and Fantastic Four, you know, have to do something together. I know
I honestly never thought about it ending anytime soon. But
it doesn't mean it's the end of MCU. It just means the idea of an overreaching storyline theme that keeps these, that in essence is like trying to, you know, 20 plates spinning on 10 sticks. I think maybe at some point they might have to do that. They might have to just say, okay, we got all these Marvel titles, but maybe we just let them go off and, like, you know, allow people to kind of bounce around a little bit, but not call it a phase. Just call it Marvel, you know?
Well, in terms of what's to come, Eric, you know, we've got about 15 more minutes or so. And I think it's important to share some of your handiwork, because you have a thought about what you want the new lineup of films to be.
Oh, God.
And I know that you worked on this a little while ago, and we may or may not have touched on this. But why don't you talk a little bit about some of these images?
Oh my God!
Do you have the individual ones there too, Christian?
It's easiest for me to show it like this to start, and then I can go through.
Okay.
So let's just kind of go through quickly. We'll see some things here, and then
and all of these are available for sale at Michael Shirley's website.
Yeah, my favorite, though, of course, being the newer mutants. But
if you could bring it up.
No, it'll come back. It'll come back. It'll all come back.
So I'm thinking, all right, what phase 5 would look like, and this to me feels like it speaks to this room, to these people, to our hopes and fears.
Really?
Yeah, of course. So the newer mutants being one of them is right off the bat, like, you know, what in honor of what they did with Mobius, and it's Mobin time. Morbin time.
Come on, don't disrespect Mobius
Owen Wilson.
Like that.
I like the idea of it's Morbius time. Newer mutants, it's like only one thing can solve failure, and that's more failure. Newer mutants, I will personally finance this movie up to $50.
I'd be down for this if it was going off the original script of the New Warriors.
Sure. but this is you know, all right.
No,
I wanted to get back to this one.
Arm Wars. So
Arm Wars, I think, is great.
The first reality show, which is going to be just a series of arm wrestling competitions between Marvel characters. I
always said the MCU should be more like Over the Top.
So is it going to be Eric Banner, Edward Norton?
Of course. It's the two of them against each other in human form. No Hulks. No Hulks necessary.
No Hulks barred.
No. No Hulks allowed. And I will make all these available. So Pimento, picking off from Christian's absolute favorite episode of What If, which is also his favorite show. The idea of Hank Pym is out there with no memory of who he is or what he's done, but only a sense that he has to kill everything around him. So Pimento coming to the Family Channel.
And you might be joking about this, but
I'm not.
I would love an Alpha Flight movie.
Yeah, no,
Unfortunately, I feel like this could happen.
Yeah, no, this is wish fulfillment. This is the dream in this Canadian sympathizer's eyes, who last night at the All-Star game even did sing "Oh Canada." I think I was the only one in my entire section who sang it, and I don't care. I love our brothers up and sisters up north, and I think they're due.
Well, you just like Alpha Flight because people come up and ask you to sign their Alpha Flight 1 because they think you're Sasquatch.
Well, I charge them handsomely for number 1. Number 5, my price goes down. Don't worry.
The one with Puck jumping around on the cover is issue 5. Yes.
Oh my God, that's
It's in my head. It's
sometimes
nothing useful in this head, but all right. So
like that. Okay.
Look, I think Alpha Flight would be great. Yeah. But this is, of course, is your coup de grace.
What's great about this, we already had a movie called The Banker. So not to tell you how the sausage gets made, but this was the relatively easy Photoshop. So every week he decides which of the superheroes he'll help out financially, and the answer is spoiler alert: none of them. Yeah. So The Banker, which will be on ABC 2 p.m. every third Thursday. This is in honor of. I'd forgotten that Doctor Strange's home is 177A Bleecker Street. So I don't know if you could zoom in, because I was thinking, well, what about 177B?
I don't think I can in this format.
Who is there?
The way that I'm in this avalanche of images, it's easiest for me to leave it this way.
Yeah, and so 177B is, that's where the real crap happens. You go in there once, but you never come back. And so if you can see it, it's almost like you have to go right up the screen. There's a little red shack.
Just imagine how many cats live in 177B. I think at least
infinite.
20. Yeah,
from multiverses.
Oh my gosh! If there was a movie called Infinite Cats, you could put Dame Judi Dench in it.
I'm loving the ideas, by the way. Korg in The Banker as one of the tellers. Maybe just part of Korg, just his head or something.
Just his head. We already covered the Newer Mutants.
Yeah.
So
Fantastic Five. Fantastic
Josh
Five.
Tranks.
So since every other director seemingly doesn't want to do this movie, once again, they're like, well, maybe we'll give him another chance. So they're going back to a never hotter Josh Trank and bringing over She-Hulk and then the original cast. So Marvel is going to give it the old Marvel
cast.
The original Josh Trank cast.
Yeah.
The original. No, I mean, that to me should be canon.
Yeah.
With
just
She-Hulk.
With She-Hulk.
Not instead of Ben Grimm.
Nope.
No.
Nope. Fantastic. That's the hook. 5. Josh Trank is a genius. Give him his chance to shine, and hopefully he'll behave himself on set this time. This may be another wish fulfillment one.
I want this.
I would love this, and this I think might be maybe not quite big enough for a large screen, but definitely something you need headphones to hear. And that's Claw.
So we should watch it on our phone, is basically.
Yeah, basically it's a podcast.
It's funny because this image is actually like almost exactly the size of my cell phone, so it would actually be perfect.
Oh yeah, so Claw, yeah, look for it wherever you download your podcasts.
What would it be about?
Yeah, it's about freaking Claw. What more do you need?
What else? Okay. Come on, don't ask that question.
And at some point he'll cross over with 3D Man.
Yeah,
which is sort of the 3D Man, one of the greatest villains in the history of Marvel.
Honestly,
he's another generation's Paste Pot Pete.
I figure at some point he's going to show up in Guardians of the Galaxy.
You tell me you don't love this comment. 177B should be like 227 with Marla Gibbs and Jack Kay.
And listen, Kemet, there's no place like home. With your family around you, you're never alone.
It would be funny if Jack Hay lived in B.
She's the landlord.
When she's just herself.
Yeah. Oh no, she should definitely play herself.
She's just Jack Hay.
But 177B, I think, is already getting some important traction. You notice. I mean, part of this is like what Amazon used to do with their pilots.
I hope she's still married to Venus Flytrap like she was on Sister Sister, because I hate to think of the two of them breaking up.
So now that we've seen what Phase 5 should be.
Yeah, which, by the way, I sign off on all of that. Yes. I want to start with Newer Mutants, but I understand if they want to build to it. It's fine.
I think you do a double feature, Newer Mutants and Josh Trank's Fantastic Five.
We like to call it Fan5-tastic.
Yeah. It'll be like the Japanese game show Endurance, where you just
Yeah.
see how much horrible Marvel can one man
And
handle.
look, I've got my Yancey Street shirt on, so
Oh my
obviously,
God, perfect.
I'm all set.
Well, I mean, so what do you
Better than a
guys?
Sesame Street shirt today.
Aw,
Hey, we had fun at Sesame Place in San Diego.
I agree.
Oh, were they nice to your children?
Yeah, because it's San Diego, not Pennsylvania.
Oh, okay. I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
Pennsylvania. It's like, hey, you want some water? You got feet.
You want some water from the Wawa?
Get your ass over there. Phase 5 then. Now
Phase
we know
5.
some pieces, right? Blade.
I mean, we have
Fantastic Four.
expectations, but look.
What do you think, though? What's the thing maybe we don't see coming?
I think we won't get X-Men in Phase 5. I think that's further down.
No, I don't either.
I think there will be a mutant story. Ms. Marvel is starting to plant those seeds, but I don't think we get that. I do agree with you that there's going to be a moment like a previous, I think it was a Hall H. Actually, it wasn't at Hall H. I think this was like in LA at the El Capitan. And they announced whatever phase that was, phase 2 or whatever, and they were like, yeah, Captain America, the Serpent Society, and then they went back and changed it, and it said actually it's going to be Civil War. So there's going to be a reveal of something that is probably more of that, though, like an iconic storyline.
I think at the very end we're gonna get a flash of an X, kind of like we got for Fantastic Four,
Mm-hmm.
but I don't think that it's gonna. I mean, if it has a date, it's probably be like 2027 or some shit.
Well, to that end, do you think we're going to hear the word Secret Wars?
Yes,
I agree.
it's not going to be the one I want, though.
No,
it's going to be the one that's the ripoff of Crisis on Infinite Earths. It's not going to be. I want the Beyonder with his shoulder pads and his mullet.
And the white suit,
absolutely,
the Cap Calloway shit.
I want him dressed like Grace Jones, but
the body of Grace Jones from here down,
from neck down, yeah,
and from here up to Hasselhoff,
yeah. There's and Daniel thinks we'll get a Blade update, and Kame says that she wouldn't be surprised if they don't give a Blade update. But Daniel also had this great comment: "How about Fantastic Four?" Just to be confusing. Thank you, Daniel.
Daniel,
100% agree with that.
Oh, and by the way, Daniel, have an awesome time in San Diego. I would have very much gotten you a drink, at least one, if not many. But alas,
it's a good thing. It's a good thing you didn't run into him at the All-Star game last night. I saw somebody post that they bought a large Coke Zero for $15 at the All-Star game. So
that was not me, though. I kept all my stupid spending for gifts for my kids.
That's a smart way to do it.
But that's to buy their love. So it's okay.
So I mean that's what we think we won't get. But let me ask you, Michael, because we only have a few minutes left. Is there something you're like, all right, we're probably not going to get it, but you know what? It would be a good time for this character. I don't think we're ready for.
Yeah, I want to see that bangle turn into Annette Bening and it just be like a movie. But I do think we're gonna get, and this is kind of where I'm having some trouble. Like, I don't want the Avengers to just turn into these new kids. I want us to get like a young Avengers or new Avengers, and there'd be like 2 teams, and maybe set one up on the West Coast, maybe Avengers West Coast. I don't know that that's as popular in the Marvel zeitgeist in the last few decades, so I doubt we're going to get a West
they gave
Coast.
us an Eternals movie, so clearly there's room for Avengers West Coast,
Yeah.
Well,
or Alpha Flight.
I'm starting to worry that we're going to see what's going on in the comics today, the Avengers, X-Men, Eternals, like a fight movie, like in like 2030.
Yeah, I think that's about when we would probably get that.
But I think we're gonna see Brie Larson leave. I wouldn't be surprised because they haven't known to change stuff up. I wouldn't be surprised if Ms. Marvel becomes Captain Marvel, Kamala Khan become the new Captain Marvel, because she can do a lot with that bracelet. She could like transfer herself like across space and time. So,
do you think we will ever see Marvel, that character? Like,
I thought that he would definitely be back for the Marvels.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think we're also going to get mutants everywhere. Like, we're going to get Storm and Black Panther.
Yeah.
We're going to get probably Mystique in the Marvels. maybe even Rogue in the Marvels.
I think it would be great. But...
And I think they're just going to pop up everywhere until Charles comes out and just collects them all.
Yeah.
I mean, that might be some great in-credit scenes, like reminiscent of finding Thor's hammer, like the Blackbird or the Thunderbird, as they're calling it now, touching down and a wheelchair rolling out to meet up with a teenager.
And here's what I'll say. The next time that we get the X-Men 97 Sting, I'm just going to be like, meh, heard it already. Because we've had it twice now. So I'm like, meh, whatever.
You're already meh?
I'm already over it. Unless it's the series premiere of X-Men 97, then I'll be super excited. But Eric, before we wind up, what do you think about Phase 5? Expectations, hopes, or even like dreams. Unrealistic. Here's what I really want to see in it.
I mean, the expectations would be Blade up there with Kit Harington. So like Black Knight. I mean, they've already established like there's some connection there. I think they might give us a sense of like what's in store for Shang-Chi, because I think like of the movies, like Shang-Chi was a nice surprise that I think a lot of people took to, especially Michael Shirley, as you could tell from his reaction. So I think like something with Shang-Chi.
I liked it better than Jeff did.
Yeah, that's because of the water dragons. Yeah.
Yeah, terrifying.
We'll put that in a t-shirt for you. I liked it better than
Jeff did.
I mean, as far as X-Men, I think you gotta, Michael, you it was a good point. Like, they'll do what they did with Fantastic Four. They will. I think they have to announce Fantastic Four. Director, cast.
Oh, for sure. I think they're going to announce Nova. I think they're going to announce.
Let me ask.
I don't think. Do either of you think? I'm not on board for Nova. I don't.
I'm not on board.
Let me just ask
for it.
Before we move on to Nova, do either of you think that the cast of Fantastic Four walks out in Hall H on Saturday?
Yes, I think if they want to, if Marvel wants to say we're okay, the future is bright. That's how you do it.
Now, Timbuk 3, is the future so bright we have to wear shades?
Of course.
Okay. Wow. Okay. I just wanted to know the level that we stood at.
Yeah.
So wait a minute. So Michael, you want Nova, but Eric, you don't want Nova.
No, he doesn't want Nova, but he thinks there will be
Nova. I just think that we're gonna get Nova. I think we're gonna get a solo Namor movie after Wakanda Forever.
100% getting Submariner. Yeah.
Yeah. I don't see Nova. I just don't.
What if they cast Amber Heard as this girlfriend?
We're going to space, Eric. We're going to space. Why would I think we might meet Nova in the Marvels?
Yeah, logically it would make sense.
Right. They would work there, but just them as their own film, I don't. I mean, I could be completely wrong.
Oh, it wouldn't just be theirs. They'd probably be only a third of the. I mean, it'd probably be like Carol dying or something, or just something crazy, or her turning into binary. Like,
speaking of wish fulfillment, Michael's talking about Carol dying.
That was his wish fulfillment from before the first
I don't
frame.
wish anything ill of her character in the MCU. I like her more than most of you do.
I like her. No, I flat out. I actually like her. I think,
and on top of it, she's a really, really incredible human being, and does so much charity work, and is just really, really an awesome actress. But I just don't think we're gonna get her much longer. I think she's too in demand. I think she might be over this. I think that she doesn't love all the spectacle. She's an actress that isn't super take my picture. I just think she's going to be gone at some point in the next 3 years.
It is. It just seems like when you saw all of them together doing publicity for Avengers Endgame, she just always seemed like a step out from it. Like, she didn't seem like she played as well in the sandbox with them as they did. So
she came in late. She's the cousin Oliver of the MCU. So
she's Sam from Different Strokes.
She's 7 on Married with Children. We can do this on the show.
We could do this all day. And
she's new Becky, Michael.
Right. Also hopes like my
Sarah Chalk. She's Sarah Chalk Becky.
I'm also hoping for Young Avengers. I think they've built such a great crew for that. I would love to see that, and it feels like it'd be such a waste, because one thing they definitely did in Phase 4, they gave us a lot of possible characters for the next phase, and so I think if you're going to put a ragtag group together. I know Thunderbolts, I think, might get announced, and then I would say someone in Avengers.
I am interested. Are we going to get something
Maybe
more with Moon Knight and some of these characters that were
introduced?
Stop
it!
No, just they own him. And Oscar Isaac might want to play him some more. Look, are they going to put him in a movie? Like not a Moon Knight starring movie, but where do we see him next? Yeah, I mean, I think that so I'm very interested in all of that, and I wonder what it is that we're going to get. But
I think that because of everything that happened in like Endgame and everything, that the Avengers aren't going to be able to, and Wanda's gone nuts, Vision's gone. Like, I don't think they're going to be able to wrangle up an old team, but I think we're going to see someone like a Carol lead a new Avengers team and then kind of hand it over to them after the movie's over.
Also, where in the hell is White Vision? Like, enough already.
Oh,
Let's see
him.
I know. I want to see him.
They're probably keeping him away a little bit because of all those text messages to Johnny Depp. That one.
That's true. That might
him and Amber Heard show up as a couple. That would be the ultimate payoff.
You literally got a robot that's married to a witch. Talk about burning witches. Don't make much sense.
Well, I think that we'll have a lot to react to, and that's why we're going to do our show next week, and Michael's finding this out for the first time. On Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific time, 1 p.m. Central, 2 p.m. Eastern. And if you live in Newfoundland, that's 3 p.m. All right. I'm looking out for you. But and then we'll have that show where we react. And then we'll take a break for a couple weeks, and we'll come back strong for She-Hulk. So you'll find us on. What's that? Yeah, strong. We will be. So we'll be back on Monday to react on all this. And Daniel, we want to hear all about it. Although I suspect Daniel might be on his plane back to DC at that point. But pay for the Wi-Fi so that you can chat with us.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, see, look, he says I'll still be in San Diego on Monday. Perfect. Watch in the hotel. That's perfect. It's 11 a.m. our time. You'll be at the airport. It's okay. You know what? I'll Venmo you for the Wi-Fi at the airport so that you can tell us what you saw and what you did. But no, and Daniel posts a lot of his movie reactions and things, so I hope people follow Daniel as well. But if they want to follow us, how do they do that, Michael?
You can find me. I hate Michael Shirley on Instagram and Michael X Shirley on Twitter. Thank you, Christian.
And Eric, where can people find you?
I'm hanging out at Count Eric Connor, doing my thing, laying low, big dreams, small life, over at Instagram and Twitter. And then you can also hang out on Facebook if you feel the need to see pictures of my dog.
And we all do. And you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Christian DMZ, and that's all right. You could try the Z or Christian DMZ if Craig Robinson is in the chat. And later tonight on the Blackcast YouTube channel, we'll have our second and final wrap up of Star Trek Strange New Worlds with my pals Frank Moran and Flobo Boyce that we used to do some of the AfterBuzz Star Trek stuff. So check that out with us tonight. I know there's Picard. I see him.
Take him out of that bag. He's gonna smother.
It's true. I put in Twinkies and Gatorade. He's fine.
Oh yeah, he's gonna be fine. He's gonna be perfectly fine. And of course, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Christian DMZ. That is all the time we have for now. But we'll see you next Monday at 11 a.m. Pacific. But until then, it's a great Stan Lee would say, Excelsior.